Seems like Tampa days are over. That was my read on it. How about you?
I 100% agree with you. But just nerdy cap stuff, they're $53 million over next year's cap already, and that's without Brady under contract. But I don't think he's retiring. And listen, I might have been a little early to this train by about 7 years. But I do think it is safe to say he's done as a difference maker in this league.
Okay.
There was all the writing on the wall all year, and you were all over it. And I didn't. I had been bitten by this too many times, and I was like, no, come the playoffs, we're going to see some magic. And not only did we not see some magic, we saw one of his worst playoff games ever. We also, when you look at the 8 quarterbacks remaining in the postseason, what do they all have in common to varying degrees? Mobility.
They can move.
They can all move a little bit. And the game is changing. And it is incredibly difficult for a statuesque quarterback to thrive. I think it is impossible for a 40, soon-to-be 6-year-old statuesque quarterback to thrive. And if you look around the league, Stink, the teams that, because he's not going to go to a bad team. We all agree, right? The teams that need a quarterback that we think could contend. If you're running San Francisco, would you rather him or Purdy? I'd go with Purdy. If you're running Miami, would you rather him or Tua? I'd go with Tua, assuming he clears concussion protocol. The Giants, you moving on from Daniel Jones for him? Nope. Detroit, you moving on for Jared Goff for him? Nope. Seattle, Geno Smith for him? No. I understand that I've been wrong on this guy a lot, but I think Tom Brady as a difference-making player playing in big-time playoff games, I think that phase of his career ended last year in the game against the Rams.
Well, let's get to the root of why statuesque quarterbacks are going to have trouble surviving in this league. Because the league has changed to the point where you can no longer develop the toughest, most skilled position in football. That's offensive linemen. You can't develop them. Find me 5 guys that can play. They're not all 5 on the same team.
Right.
It's really, really hard. And because of the rules that the league has instituted, right, and the Players Association has instituted, it is almost impossible to develop young offensive linemen. That is, like I said, that's the most skilled position, because I've talked to you guys to you about this topic before. You are talking about the least skilled athletes. The least skilled athletes on a football field is that 5 guys up front. You're overmatched athletically every time you line up on a football field. But every time you line up on a football field, you're expected to win 100% of the battles. So that comes from intelligence, neck up, technique, all those things. So we've taken away all that stuff as a league. We've said, we're not going to allow you to do that anymore. Why? Because we're not going to allow you to practice. We're not going to allow you to be in here. We're not going to allow you to meet with coaches. We're not going to allow you to do all these things. So the biggest skilled position in football, the offensive line, has been diminished from the amount of time you can play and you can study. Therefore, you know what you need? Mobile quarterbacks to compensate for the lack of skill up front.
And it's why Vegas Brew, to me, makes no sense. I know maybe Josh McDaniels wants him. Their biggest issue on the offensive side of the ball is the offensive line. Right. And if you're Tom Brady, you're not signing up. He doesn't want to get hit anymore, guys.
Right.
He refuses to get hit.
The bottom line is this. We know he's only playing for Super Bowls.
Yep.
And for him to win a Super Bowl, everything has to be perfect. He needs great receivers, a great offensive line, a great defense, and a great running game. And who has everything?
Right.
Nobody.
San
Francisco, but they get injured a lot, right? They have a history of guys getting injured. Right now, Cincinnati, 3 offensive linemen are injured.
Yeah.
Okay, Kansas City doesn't have a great defense. Buffalo doesn't have a great offensive line. At no situation is perfect. I agree with you. If you look on paper, you're saying the one place he could probably win a Super Bowl is San Francisco.
Right.
If they stay healthy. And I think that, look, if Purdy is horrible this weekend and they lose,
then
maybe they'll look. They might. I'm just saying they might look at Brady. But I think they're going to go with Purdy and Lance, because I think Purdy is going to continue to play well. So I agree. Look, Jets, They don't have an offensive line.
Yeah, I would already
Giants.
say they've moved on from Trey Lance. Like, that,
Okay.
like he's not.
So you think they're viewing Purdy as their guy?
Purdy's their guy. I don't
Sure.
think. I think Trey Lance. But I'll tell you the other
that
thing.
into
The reason that
Brady
you have to. The reason you have to be able to run the ball. Now remember, Tampa Bay throws it like 70% of the time, right?
Not great.
They've gotten away from that, and they'll sit there and say, well, the bubble screens, the short passing game, and all those things are the reason, right? Because Tom Brady can do that. But you have to, because of the skill that we talked about up front, you have to run the ball in this league. Why? Because now all of a sudden it gives me a weapon as an offensive lineman to attack protection. So now on a 5-step drop where I know the ball is out without a hitch, now all of a sudden I can run block on that. If you don't give your offensive linemen opportunities to change up sets, to change up the attack that they have, right? I always talk, when I consult with teams, I say, you have to be able to take the passive out of pass protection. Because if you sit back against great athletes that rush you, you'll get your ass kicked.
Well,
I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
So you have got to be able to do that. Brady has to be able to be willing to change his game
But
as well.
my question is,
from what he's
Wilds,
done.
who that's a really good team, wants to sign up for what they saw from Tom Brady the last year? Who is it?
Well, once I think about it a little bit, is there a
You got
team
one?
that kind of needs a quarterback, that has a great defense, likes to run the ball, really stresses the offensive line? Maybe the New England Patriots? I don't know, Schlereth. It feels like Bill Belichick would be okay with, not like Mac Jones is the most.
Then he wouldn't need, you know what? Then Bill Belichick wouldn't need to get an offensive coordinator because he'd have Tom Brady. He could just sign it over to Tom.
Get Bill
Tom
O'Brien
Brady,
back.
Brett.
They've worked a little bit together. I don't hate that. I know it's a
I
little
don't
bit
like
of a
it at
wild
all.
pipe dream.
I don't think it's a wild spot.
I don't think he has this. They don't have the skill.
Yeah,
position
but they're not
players.
good enough. That's
Yeah,
the
we
thing
got
is, they
fourth
may,
most
it
cap
would be a
space.
nice sports story, but the question is Brady? If Brady's trying to win a Super Bowl,
Yeah, that's right.
he has to convince somebody that this year didn't happen. Nobody can watch football in 2022. And again, I know it's odd coming from me because I picked them to win, but that was based purely on the metaphysical. I was just like, Brady come the playoffs is going to be different. And once that invincibility cloak is gone, it's like, okay, you were just a sub 500 quarterback this year who was below average in the NFL in passer rating, who does not look anything like the modern quarterback.
But do you think, Schlereth, to Nick's point, do you think that Brady still has something in the tank? Or were his struggles because Dak played a great game, threw the ball 33 times, and Brady literally threw it twice as much?
Yeah, threw it 66 times. Listen, you have got to build around him. There's nothing wrong with his skill set as far as throwing the ball. There's a couple things though, like he can't practice like he used to. The Sundays aren't what cost you your career. Working Monday through Saturday is what costs you your career. You get to the point where you can't do that anymore. Everybody would play on Sunday. Everybody loves to play on Sunday. Does your body allow you to get to Sunday? And so he missed, like, all quarterbacks are rep hogs. They all want every rep. Well, guess what happens as you get older? You can't get every rep. Your body won't allow. If you take every rep, you know what you can't do? You can't play on Sundays. You only got so many. You only got so many reps in you. So there's a lot of things that will have to line up perfectly. But his skill set is still such that he can win in this league. But you've got to have a lot of other things
But
around.
just very quick, Wilds, somebody's got to sign off not only on it, but knowing you're going to basically turn your whole franchise over to him for 1 year. So, like, I know people are like, oh, it makes sense in Miami. You would then be essentially scuttling the entire Tua era if there's going to be one. And I'm not a big Tua guy. But it is saying we are going all in like Tampa did, except they got 3 years. Now you're doing it for 1 year, a guy who just now looks very beatable. I think it's going to be someone will sign him.
But if it's 1 year and you happen to catch lightning in a bottle, and imagine it buys you 4 years of goodwill or 5 years of goodwill.
I'll tell you what. I came into this thinking New England. I'm leaving really thinking New England.
Oh, yeah.
You guys convinced me. Like, nobody
You're
wants
fired
him.
up.
Greatest
No way I
player of
see
all
that.
time. I'll take him.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.